It's spinning. Okay, so we made it, ladies. We made it. We made it. We made it. We made it. All right. Well, happy whatever day it is. I think that's got to be the official launch of the show, Elizabeth. Until we come out of quarantine, happy whatever day it is.
Ignorance is bliss, right? I don't know.
But I do know this. We know that we are bringing a real treat for a guest today on Leadership from the Heart series. I know we've been really looking forward to this. Jenn Van Burkleo, social media strategist. You're going to bring all sorts of tips and strategies for us today on the social media front, right?
Yes. I'm hoping to give you some great takeaways for sure. Yep.
Well, thank you for joining Elizabeth and I. Before we get started, will you share a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Jennifer Van Burkleo. I am the senior social media manager for EXP. I manage Workplace, which is our internal platform. Obviously, Canada, US, Australia, UK for EXP, and then also Verbella and EXP World Holdings. And I currently live in Seattle, but I'm actually staying with my folks out in Olympia while our shelter in place is happening. So I got to use my mom's makeup this morning. So that was fun.
That's fun. Going back to the little girl getting in her mama's makeup drawer.
Right. I didn't know how long we were going to be here. So I only came with a couple weeks worth of stuff and didn't bring any makeup. And, a month later, here we are.
I love that you're able to hunker down with your family. I know we've had a couple conversations over the last 30 days. And how is everyone? Everyone's safe and healthy and doing well?
Oh, yeah. I think from a perspective of like everything else that's happening in the world, we're really lucky and blessed. We don't have any health issues. Nobody's been sick. Nobody's been infected. So it could always be worse than what it really is on our end.
I'm glad to hear that. So if we dig right in to social media, what direction would you like to bring this? We want to go right into maybe some tips on what we're seeing in Facebook strategies in 2020.
Yeah, you bet. So I think the first thing just to kind of keep in mind is that every market, every agent is different, right? The way they operate. I have one great example I can think of right off the bat. Most of the time we tell people to focus on their Facebook business page. But when I've done that in the past, we even have an EXP agent named Shaughnessy Harrison who reached out and was like, no, hold on. I leverage my personal Facebook and, my sphere of network that I'm able to like leverage that. And so that's something to keep in mind, first of all, is like, it's not a one size fits all kind of strategy on what works for me, may work different for you. Also, brands are different than if you're working with an individual or if you're working with a team. So kind of keep those things in mind as you start building out different strategies. There are some things, though, that are across the board that I think it works for everyone, right? The first thing I would say, have a content strategy. That's my number one thing. Content is key. We'll dive into video, of course, in a little bit, but video is like the number one content. I say content is king, video is king, it's ruling the world. When I talk about content, I say try to post daily. If you can't post daily, that's okay. I would prefer to have the consistency over the frequency. So if posting daily is not your thing and you do not have the time for that, then that's okay. But go in and make sure those people who are engaging with you aren't falling left behind. So if you need to respond to those comments or interact with them a little bit more, or throw up a Facebook story or an Instagram story, that's something to kind of keep that engagement continuing to go. I think a lot of times when people first get onto social media, they like to post either way too much, like back to back, and you're really competing against yourself and the algorithm for doing that. So I would say first take a step back. If you can post once a day, that's great. If you can post more than that, space it out. If not, then just respond to the comments. Be there for your people. That's your network. Those are the people who are your fans. They want to hear from you and what you have to say. Part of the content rule, I also say there's an 80-20 rule. Some people go by the 70-30. Try not to be too promotional. So out of 10 posts, only like 2 or 3 of those should really be like a promotional thing that you're, showing your services or whatever you're trying to get out of that. Other than that, there's so many different things that you can do. And even video wise, they say that you can get 15 different pieces of content per video. So whether you take that and you turn it into a blooper reel. Who doesn't love bloopers? I love bloopers. If you can turn it into a GIF, if you can take out a quote and put that into a Canva template, you know, those are things that you can use and utilize that content over and over and over again. I also tell people to be aware of the industry trends, right? So Elizabeth just went off. Darn it.
She'll pop back in.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so trending content, I always tell people, especially if you're an individual and you're trying to build your brand and your recognition, this is a great way to really position yourself in a power of authority for that industry or for your community. So if you see something trending and you can put your own spin on it, or you have an opinion, do that. Like, I would rather hear from somebody who I relate to and I know personally than just reading about all of these different things, trying to secretly wonder like how this impacts my life. You know, I would.
Jen, I have a question that you touched on regarding consistency and frequency. Yes. Is there a spit it out. Is there a particular time of day that is best to post, and is that dependent on each particular platform?
Yeah. So it depends on what the platform is. So that's another part of it, is don't try to be everywhere. If you can hone it down to like 3, maybe 4 social networks, then that's great. Don't overdo it, because then you kind of stress and overwhelm yourself. But the insights is what I would use. Sometimes I'll get things and it'll say like, oh, the best time to post, but it's not specific or applicable to my industry or to what my community is doing. If I go to my business page, or if you have an Instagram that's linked to your business page, you have more insights. So you're able to see exactly what your demographic is, how that breaks down, where they live, and what days they're actually most active on your pages and during those times. So I always try to post things when I know my audience is going to be online anyways, because the faster they react and engage with your content, the higher it's going to rank in the algorithm and people's timelines. So the more likely they're able to actually see that, and it's going to show up on their friends and their friends' friends and so on and so forth.
Would you say there's a trend on, I know video is king, but what are you seeing as far as trending for long written form in posts? Elizabeth is phenomenal about storytelling. She's a great storyteller. Elizabeth, when you do a post in reference to a recent closing you have, you are so great about sharing the story, and it really pulls at the heartstrings about showing how much you love your work. Are you seeing an uptick in that type of content, Jen?
Yeah, I think so. For a while, I was seeing just really short captions, they'd be one sentence or whatever. And I think the more that we start to focus on showing our authentic selves, the more that we are able to see those long forms that people can relate to. Obviously, you don't want it to be so long that every single time people are like, oh man, am I going to have to spend the next 10 minutes reading this? But yeah, if you have posts that every once in a while they're a little bit longer, or they provide more context, I think that's fantastic. Every once in a while, if you have like a funny joke, or it's just like a quick one line, that's cool. You can do that too. But I want to have more insight. I want to get to know exactly like who these people are, what they were thinking, how you relate to them, what was their story that you learned, their takeaways. Those things are really important, not only just for me as a consumer, just like learning about who these people are, but also like, wow, this agent really cares about who her clients are and who she's helping find a home. I mean, these are really big decisions that people are making, and they want to know that they're trusting the right people who are going that extra step and who really care. And Elizabeth, you're great at that. So kudos to you.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because social media is kind of a love-hate relationship with me, right? Crazy enough, I never was on Facebook. I didn't join any social media or Facebook or anything until I joined eXp Realty. Which is crazy, because I was probably like one of the last people ever to join. And at that time, it's because we weren't on Workplace. We were on Facebook, right? And I had to be there to understand what the company was doing. Since at that time, a friend of mine said I was a caveman that found fire, because I was like, oh, this is so fun. But I would love to get your thoughts on this, because I have conflicting information. And again, it goes back to what you're saying, do what's best for you and your audience. My Facebook page, and especially when like Renee and I are on panels and we're speaking, I mean, everybody friend requests us. And I'm super private on my personal page. If I don't know you, if I haven't met you, I will not accept your friend request. And a lot of people get buried, even people I know, just because everybody's like, oh, friend. So I keep that really, really separate. And then I have my business page where I keep all of my business content, or I love to tell stories because my clients, they're my one and only client is how I approach it. And I want to tell the story. Everybody has a unique story. But I'm wondering if I'm missing the boat, because I'm super sensitive too, because sometimes, I mean, we all have those people that just post and fill your feed with stuff that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to see one more sales thing, right? I want to see the people I want to see. But I have some friends that are telling me, okay, no, you need to accept everybody and be super visual. And then there's other people that kind of agree with what I'm doing. They're like, hey, do whatever you want. But is there, I'm trying to share from my business page. I mean, is there an exact science, or is it just more what you're comfortable with? Or because I'm just really sensitive of overwhelming and annoying people, quite frankly.
Yeah, so I think it's more or less what you're comfortable with. Facebook only gives you the option to have like 5,000 friends. And if you start to accept everyone, that can fill up really quickly. And then the people who you really want to engage with and interact with on a daily basis and care about their stories and their families and whatever's happening, you're going to have to eventually unfriend somebody to get that person in, right? Like I know a lot of people who want to add each other because they think it's really great for referrals. But for us, for EXP, we have the referral network on Workplace. So I kind of keep that separate. I'm like you. I keep my personal Facebook as separate as I can possibly get. I have so many friend requests, but honestly, like that's for something different, like I want to keep up with my family members. I want to keep up with things that are happening to my former schoolmates or former colleagues or whatever that is. I want to be able to keep that conversation going. I will say that I do think that there's a balance. So if you're posting something that you're super passionate about, or that's really important, or that you're like, wait, this is like so important to me, I really want to share this, and you just don't want it to be just on your business page, share that post from your business page onto your personal Facebook page. So that way you're starting to get more engagement from them, and it'll put that business post up higher in the algorithm too. But then people who are already connected with you will see like how much this specific thing means to you. You don't have to drown them out with all like business work kind of posts all the time. But yeah, every once in a while, people want to see what's up with you and what's going on. I personally don't even like to post that much about my work life. I try to keep it separate because I feel the same way. Like a lot of times people are like, oh God, I hope I don't see another thing. I hope she's not doing too braggy. But surprisingly, when I do share those kind of accomplishments over, or things that are really important to me, like one EXP and things like that, I get so many kudos and so much engagement from people. Just like, wow, I had no idea. Sometimes I think, if you're a fan of Friends, sometimes I think that people think we're in a realm of Chandlers. Like everybody kind of knows what we're doing, but not really knows what we're doing. And by letting them have some insight, you're able to like leverage multiple different audiences, your business, your personal, and then you're also keeping that fresh in their mind. So down the road, on your personal, even if somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who's looking for a house and doesn't have the right agent, and they're looking, especially during these times, they need somebody who's reliable, who knows their stuff. Guess what? You're going to be the person they think about, and you're going to be the name that they give to that person. And just like that, that's a referral that you didn't even realize that you were getting, but you planted a seed.
I think that the 80-20 rule is probably one of the best rules. I know that myself and Jeff and our team has been living by for several years now. And when you focus on that, it's a healthy amount, right? As you want to make sure people are front of mind, that it's front of mind of what you do and you're passionate about what you do. And there's no reason why it can't be shared sometimes, but not all the time. So if we're looking at the top 3 tips, you would say tactically or strategically on Facebook, what insight would you give us on that?
Well, so for tactics, if we're just talking about different things to do, and it's not even just on Facebook, but like Instagram and even TikTok, which we'll talk about, I would definitely say utilize hashtags. Hashtags are a really great way to get some extra exposure. And if you don't know what hashtags to use, like for example, Instagram, you can have like 30 different hashtags in the post or in the comment description or whatever. There's a website that you can go to. It's best-hashtags.com, and you can type in that keyword. So if Elizabeth is talking about Austin, she can put in Austin. It's going to give her the top 30 hashtags that are most associated with that, or that are most frequently used. So when she uses that, it's going to show more, and she's going to have more of a chance to show up on that explore section, especially if you're using video. So that would be the second thing I would say, is a lot of people are not comfortable on video. I'm one of those people, but it's just something that we're going to have to get over because video is literally ruling the world. And when I say that, that's not an exaggeration. Like, I went to Social Media Marketing World and we talked about the most downloaded apps from 2019. And just in the fourth quarter, we had Disney Plus, which was #1, and TikTok, which was #2. And then all the other ones that you see underneath that are all video streaming video streaming apps. So like Netflix, Hulu, like Snapchat, all these things that are more video based are the ones that are being downloaded.
And that was Q4 2019.
Yeah.
So
yep.
imagine now what the data will show when we look at the first half of 2020, now that we're faced with a pandemic crisis that everyone's at home.
Oh, yeah. And then one of the other things I like to do, I like to go to the different social platforms that I know that we're on just to see as a company what their next move is. Like, what are they hiring for? And if you go to Instagram, for example, or even Facebook, since they own Instagram, a lot of it's based around video. You'll see a lot of IGTV stuff. And so that's something that they're heavily focused on. So right now, a video view is counted after like 3 seconds. So if you make your video, 62 seconds on the Explore page on Instagram, that's where you're more likely to start showing up because that's where they're putting the heavy weight behind it.
Interesting.
So that's huge. That's a big nugget right there. I had never thought of.
Yeah. Well, and so they actually just released a new feature, speaking of IGTV. So when you actually upload it, it'll give you the option to have a 15-second preview, and you can push that to your Instagram story. So now it automatically does that for you. And then when somebody sees it, they can click on it and it opens up the whole IGTV video, which is fantastic. And then something else that they just added, which I would definitely recommend taking advantage of, is you can put in clickable links in the description of Instagram TV videos. So not ones that are under 60 seconds right now, not regular, not just a photo post, but those long form videos. That's the first time Instagram has ever offered a clickable link option that's not in your bio. So even if you have some that are up right now, you can go back and you can edit those right now to have a link that goes to your website, to this live stream, to whatever it is that you want to push to, and people will be able to straight click over there, and you'll be able to start tracking those insights on those clickable links.
That's that's valuable information, because whenever you can find an opportunity to still be able to drive traffic through to any link, that's obviously something that is fewer and farther between in the world of social media.
Yeah. And then speaking of videos and just posts in general, a good rule of thumb to kind of keep in mind, especially for those of us who are active with the stories, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever it is, they say to post a story an hour or so before your actual post goes up. That way you're already at the top of the algorithm and people are already interacting with your stories and seeing that. So when you post something, it's going to be at the very top instead of something that you're going to have to slide down 10 times to see a video or a photo post that you did.
Are you referencing if we post a story that is maybe showcasing an upcoming post that you're actually going to put in your feed?
Yeah, you can do that too. I see that all the time. Like, people will say, oh, click here, new post or whatever. But no, just in general. So Renee, if you post an Instagram story and I see it in my first bar already, and it's one of the very first stories that I see, whenever you do your next post, not an Instagram story post or whatever, just a regular post, it's going to already rank higher because I just engaged by watching your story.
Got it.
You've already got me captured. Yeah. I'm already hooked. So I'm like, oh man, more Renee. Okay, I'll keep looking at this. Let me go to her page. Let me see what's happening.
Renee is really good with video. And it's funny to hear you say, Jen, that you don't like video because, everybody, it's all perception. I hate video, and I know hate is a strong word. I tell my kids all the time you can't use hate, but I do, and I hate it. But it's funny to watch my kids, and they can maneuver all this stuff so much easier than I can because this is what they're growing up knowing. This is all they know. And with videos, it'll be interesting to watch this generation kind of how they embrace that, and they're okay with it, and it's just second nature to them. But mine have been talking to me about video. Mom, you need to do this. Mom, you need to do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm taking social media advice from my 11-year-old. right? Or my 14-year-old was helping me with the YouTube thing the other day, and he's like, okay, I expect payment for this. I'm like, well, I mean, it's fair. I'd be hiring somebody else. But the video thing is something I'm trying to get past. I do not like it. But somebody remind me, that's how we see you anyway, right? So just get out of your own way, get out of your own head. So that's what I'm trying to focus on, because it's such a big thing right now, especially with shelter in place and COVID, but especially the industry that we're in.
So what are your tips, Jen, regarding Facebook Live or video tips in general? Do you have a couple good nuggets for us?
As far as different things that you can do videos about, or what are you thinking?
Well, so I hear a lot, like Elizabeth says, I'm good on video. You know what? At the end of the day, the number one tip that I always stay focused on is to get out of my own way. I used to be terrified, right? And I just feel like one day I woke up and I said, that's ridiculous. This is what I want to do. Just do it. And I think that people are afraid to make a mistake. And if we just get over the fear of making a mistake and just know that's just who you are, what happens is you end up putting content into the world and it becomes more your authentic self. So what do you think people should be focused on to kind of get over that mindset and say, just get the content out there?
Yeah, so that's something I struggle with personally as well. Like, I don't even like public speaking, to be honest. I'm more of a support system. I'd rather support the people to help them succeed and be like in the background. But I feel the same way. Sometimes I just have to get out of my head because I have so many ideas and messages and takeaways that I want you guys to have. And I would really hate for myself to get in the way of being able to deliver that message. I can think of, I don't know the exact quote, but I remember being at EXPCon and I saw Veronica Figueroa up on the panel and she was talking about video. And the one thing that she said that really resonated with me was, I wasn't comfortable either, but you know what? My crappy video is going to perform your non-video any day. And it's true. Huh? I mean, just get started, and being authentic is an okay way of just saying you're imperfect. You're relatable. Like, you just have to start somewhere. I could be terrible right now, but you know what? At the end of the day, my family loves me. My friends love me. You guys are a great support system, and it'll get better in the future. You know, like there's always going to be situations where something goes wrong, but it doesn't have to be on live video to start out with. If you're comfortable being on live video, just try shooting something on the side and see how comfortable you are. When I first started, a lot of the things that they were saying to me was like, hey, if you just take one day out of the entire month and spend like 8 hours just shooting random videos, you now have video content for the entire month, and you only had to do it one day. And then you can take all of those different video pieces. Like we said, there's a ton of different things that you can do with those videos, and you can turn them into GIFs, reuse them. You know, it becomes evergreen. If it's not a timely thing and it can last on, then you can always bring those kind of clips back too, because you're putting in the work. Why would you not get as much as you can possibly get out of it?
One of the things about that is, I actually, if I'm considering doing better in one thing or the other, I actually do better with lives as opposed to video and trying to just video it and get content and things like that, because I'm so critical, right? And then I go back and then I second guess. I'm like, no. And I get really tongue-tied on video. But on Facebook Live, I think it might be a mental thing, right? It's a mindset or mind shift where it's like, well, I can't go back and change it. It's done. You know, I've got kids running around, crazy things going on. I mean, I screwed up something. It is what it is. I can't go back and beat myself up or try to overthink it. So for me, what I've realized is, okay, I'm just going to go live. And my other thing is getting in my head, like, I don't know if anybody really cares what I'm thinking or what I want to talk about, right? And then I start seeing what everybody else is doing, and I'm like, well, that's kind of funny and that's entertaining, and I love seeing what they're doing. And so I'm like, well, why wouldn't I, be able to share something too? So lives make me not think too much into it and overanalyze things, and I just do it, and I do much better that way.
I think I would agree. I think that you are really great on live video. I don't think that you're terrible on recorded either, because I've seen your stories, even just, I think it was yesterday, about, oh, I haven't been able to do my hair, quarantine life, whatever. Those things are super relatable. You know what I mean?
You know why that's videoed? Because I can't figure out how to do it live.
I will show you. I will show you.
I I have a tip about overcoming fear about going live, specifically on Facebook, because I get asked this a lot. I just started going live in any capacity. It was, well, Elizabeth, when did we go to Dallas for Power Girls? Was that in 2018? Anyway, a year and a half. It might be
2018,
2 years.
I think, yeah.
So that's like I literally just said, I'm diving in, and that was when it was. But one strategy is to, you can go live on Facebook to only yourself. And so sometimes people will say, but I'm worried that I'm going to make a mistake on the technical aspect. What do I click and what does it say? And what does it look like as a product when it's done? In the beginning, if you want to just wet your feet, go live and choose the privacy setting, only me. And then it'll show up on your feed, but it's only on your feed. No one else can see it until you switch that privacy setting again. And so that starts to get people into that habit of understanding structurally what it looks like and what you're pressing and what you're filling out. And then just talk to yourself for a minute and get over that fear until you find some more confidence to go ahead and talk freely and be yourself, because you're going to say the wrong thing. I mean, I said the wrong thing a few minutes ago. Oh, well, it happens.
I was going to do, today's kind of there's something cool going on today that I'm pretty excited about, but I was going to do a post. Like, I have to sit down and quiet my mind and just write. And now I'm thinking maybe I just do a video and I just blubber and, trip over all my words, but maybe that's more effective. I don't know. I'm much better at the written word. But maybe being authentic and just visiting and talking and people seeing emotion and reactions is a little bit better. But I do have a question regarding, so you're talking about the whole analytical side and the viewing the insights and things like that. So there's so much technicality that goes behind social media, right? The Instagram and Facebook and the different rules, and Facebook and Instagram work together because they're owned by the same, platform, but they don't like videos. And Renee and I've had a lot of conversation about this, and maybe this is a stupid question, but I'm really curious. How is there a way around, or why is it that if you're doing a video off of a different platform, so say YouTube, for example, right? We're real estate agents, we've got videos, we've got all this other stuff. Why is it that those videos aren't really seen, or they're hidden, or is there a way around that? Because that's one of the things I'm trying to overcome, is making sure our content is out there and not being buried because of insights or the analytics behind the scene and the platform. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when we're talking about video, are you talking about something that's like housed on YouTube and then sharing that link on other places?
Yeah, anything that's not originating in Instagram or Facebook, anything outside of that. And I understand the competition nature of it because they're competing platforms, but I'm just wondering what's a better alternative or solution? Because like when we're working with photographers and our videographers, that's not content being created in those platforms. It's being created somewhere else. And I'm trying to figure out how to, or maybe the answer is you can't, you just have to be creative. Is there a way to reintroduce that so it's not buried and it's actually still effective?
Yeah, of course. Well, one thing you can do is obviously like share it back over if it's still relevant and you haven't gotten the engagement that you want. But also Facebook and, Instagram and a lot of these other platforms, they're going to favor native videos, videos that are already housed and living on Facebook, as opposed to being like a YouTube link. So automatically that's going to hurt you in the algorithm because they're going to give the best spots to people who have uploaded that video to Facebook. So if you have the same video, you don't have to just put it on YouTube and then share those links. Upload it independently on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube.
Natively.
And yes.
Yeah.
And that's going to help you with your engagement, and it's going to help boost it higher, obviously, in their timeline too, just by switching that, just by not sharing the link and just having that video on there. You're already going to get a little boost in engagement.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, and there's always two lanes, right? I mean, as a content creator and as a marketer, you have two choices: to invest in understanding how to create content that's going to give you an organic reach, which, wow, that's a whole other conversation about algorithm and understanding what all of the platforms are seeking to push content organically. But then you have another topic we can talk about on another day, is diving into ad creation. And Elizabeth, if you're trying to gain more engagement on YouTube and other places, you can run ad campaigns on that too, right? And that, like I said, it's hours and hours we can have a conversation about. But I think right now, one of the things we've been focused on, to what Jenn had said when we first started discussing, is we found quite a bit of success on the organic reach that we're building with our personal profiles as a team as of the last 3 to 6 months. And it's been very interesting to see where that reach is going. But the number one thing we focused on is coming from contribution and not necessarily putting much in way of true real estate on that content. So it's been more about lifestyle related things and, just sharing the story of our day, as opposed to here's my next listing. Like I don't usually say here's my next listing at all on my personal profile. Every once in a blue moon we might. I just don't, we launched a website right recently, and I've been putting a little bit more about that launch of that website, but for the most part, personal stuff is just personal.
I'm with you on that, because no one really cares. I mean, unless it's really specific to my neighborhood where I have a big group of friends, right? And there's something that's coming up that affects them. But again, this is across my family, and I'm private because it's my family and my kids and things like that. It's much more focused on that. So for me, I have listings all over the place. Nobody cares if I have a listing that doesn't pertain to them, right? They're just going to scroll through it. So I'm with you. I don't really do that either. I just put everything, I keep it all on my business page.
All right. So let's dive into this. What the heck is TikTok? What the heck is TikTok? I feel old, Jenn. I feel old.
My 11-year-old could school us on that.
I saw your dance video. Did you have a family dance video? I think I saw.
To me?
Yes.
You did, Riley.
My 11-year-old lives on TikTok, and she's doing all these little dances. And finally, she's like, "Mom, we should do a dance." And she and I were trying to do this, and they're actually very hard. And it's crazy to see these people that have 40 and 50 million followers that are just doing exactly what she's doing in the kitchen. So that was my security blanket, having the kids. I was like, okay, we'll do all this together. And it was fun, but that was as basic and it was so basic, but it was as advanced as I could go with that, because it's hard.
What's cool about TikTok, so first of all, like, to back it up a little bit, you guys might remember the app Musical.ly. It was where there was like a lot of teenagers and kind of like younger generation that were doing a lot of dancing and lip syncing. That has merged into TikTok. So at one point that was separate. It's now part of this company that's formed TikTok. So that's why a lot of those same trends are still happening. Unlike Facebook and Instagram, TikTok is really only good for like 15 up to like 60 seconds worth of clips. What's cool about TikTok is that when you open the app, which if you have the app, you might know, and people who are watching will download it and open it themselves, but the audio starts right away. Like it automatically, as soon as you open it, the audio is going to kick on and that video is going to show. What also is cool about TikTok is even if I were to follow both of you, the chances that I would see it, unless I was actually going to my following section, I probably wouldn't. So you're actually getting more visibility by posting on TikTok because it goes into an explore section and you automatically have that pulled up. So when you open it, it's like I'm seeing random things from like Justin Bieber and maybe some guy named Ben the dentist and all of these other people. And
wait, I have to interrupt you for 1 second because I'm almost laughing. I'm falling off the couch here. I see that we have someone we know who's following along with our video today is Mitch Robinson. And Mitch Robinson, he just commented and said, "Jenn, you cannot make me use TikTok yet."
Oh my gosh, Robinson to do TikTok. Would that not be awesome?
Oh my gosh.
We're going to do it just because of that. Challenge accepted. I'm doing it.
Mitch Robinson, this group of 3 women right here just hear you and you are so on with TikTok. It's happening.
I'll create an account for you, Mitch. It'll be great.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I saw that come through and I was like, that's got to happen. A TikTok with Mitch Robinson would be the best.
That would be
totally. I feel like we can get like an avatar dance going in the
maybe we can do it for shareholders, have it ready so the leadership could do a TikTok instead of, in real life.
I mean, we have a lot of dance moves we can do in the world. Why not?
So being that we're, obviously talking a lot to real estate agents, and if we talk about TikTok, what the heck can a real estate agent do on TikTok?
Yeah, so I think that there's a balance. Obviously, it's probably not as useful if you're wanting to do super promotional stuff. It's more like pranks, dancing videos, lip syncs. They did just add a voiceover feature last week. So there's a lot more people doing the voiceovers like they did back in the day for Musical.ly, which is totally great. Things that you could be posting on, obviously, if there's like a quick FAQ that you're getting that people, it's like a common question. Okay, I can answer this in less than a minute. Let me put this out there. Make it informational. If you have an offer, if there's a workshop that you're attending, if we're just talking about like real estate kind of things that you can do, if you have like a client testimonial that somebody sent you, if you're just wanting to introduce yourself, what you're about, what your hobbies are, if anything that you can do to educate consumers on that basis, especially during what's going on right now, you should definitely take advantage of that, even if it's just in 15 seconds to a minute. Another thing that I find really interesting about TikTok is the average user is spending 61 minutes on the app at any given time with the sound on. So
when was that? Was that from 2019 as well, or is that more recent?
That's more recent. This is from the first quarter of 2020.
And again, I wonder what that will do as far as an increase, because like I've talked a lot to my team about, pick up your phone and look at that part of your phone that tells you your screen time. And it's almost obscene at how much the screen time is increased over the last 30 days. But also pay attention to that, because how can we strategize around that attention the audience will have on our marketing that we're doing for our customers?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the audience of that though, Jen. I mean,
yes.
think about, I mean, my daughter, like I said, you're talking about 61 minutes. My daughter's probably more like 6 hours at a time. I mean, it's addictive, but I can see why, because it's really engaging and it's like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. And in these times, it makes people laugh. But if, as a real estate agent, for example, I mean, think of the age range and the audience that's using TikTok. How does that kind of roll into what we're doing, and is that even an effective use of time?
Yes, it is. And I have a stat for you that's going to surprise you. I was surprised myself. Actually, on TikTok, 75% of the users are over 25 years old. So
really?
Yes. So when you're talking about, your kids watching 6 hours, yeah, that's huge, but maybe not 6 hours for people who are like 25. And 49% are people who are over 35.
Wow.
What?
Yes, they're keeping you constantly engaged by these videos that are going through, and more people are on there all the time. I think Christina Smallhorn was featured at that conference that I went to for the videos that she was doing. And I think she just had something about like tiny homes in her community or something, just like a quick little something or other. So there's things that you should definitely be doing. The only downside, I think, to TikTok, which is not really, I think it'll change in the future, but the ad spend, and if you wanted to do ads and you wanted to get into something like that, they have a pretty robust of like 20 grand over 7 days or something. So the likelihood that you'll have like a huge marketing budget to dedicate for something like that, probably not worth your while. But yeah, if you're making fun videos, or you're doing an open house, or you're cleaning, or you find things, there's a guy named Ben the dentist, which I mentioned him. He was doing random things like people eating gummy worms before while they had braces, and it was like a video of him running to save them. Like, no, I mean,
well, I know who he is. I know who he is because my kids have, they love him, and he's pretty amusing about this Ben the dentist. Okay, I think it proves your point. He's a dentist. People know what he does, but he's engaging and people keep coming back. That is fascinating. I would have never guessed that age range ever.
I feel the same exact way. I was like, I really am into social, but TikTok, is it for younger kids? I don't really know. And then when I was like doing more research about it, I was like, okay, something is definitely switched around and should be adopted by more people for sure.
I have my own social media group here in my quarantine house. This is actually going to work out well for me.
You have endless amount of content. You could just
No,
turn
I'm
around
talking
and be
about
like,
the little people that know how to use this so well, and I'm giving them a roof over their heads, and I'm feeding them, and I'm teaching them now. So
yeah.
they're going to pay me back with TikTok lessons and social media.
Oh, I'm
Wait a
sure that
minute.
they have some tips for me that I could use too on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think my takeaway regarding TikTok, apart from being floored by the stats you just shared, is, Elizabeth, what we need to do is just give our TikTok account to our kids and
Right.
see what they can produce from a marketing standpoint for our customers about the homes we are listing, and just try it. Like, what? Wait, hey, right? Show us what you got.
Try it.
I think we might try it. In fact, my oldest, who's 14, it's amazing what your kids know and what they learn, and we don't give them credit for. I mean, this is not TikTok related, but the other day we had one of my new listings shot, and it was a vacant listing. I couldn't be there, right? And on the back of the toilet, there was like a half roll thrown over toilet paper roll. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is the only good picture we have. And they couldn't move that. And Tripp says, Mom, I can do that. And I was like, no, you can't do that. Let me see. Oh my gosh. He like photoshopped it out. He did all these other things. I'm like, hold on, this is going to be very, very useful. So I think I love your idea. Like, give this to them. What can you do with it? I mean, it gives
Let
them
them
some
try.
education, right?
Yeah.
Just
and
be
not,
careful. They're going to ask to go on payroll.
Oh, they've already asked me. He charges me $5 per picture. So yeah, I'm just expecting that. But
that's
hey, I'd
hilarious.
rather pay them to do that. But the TikTok thing, that's crazy. And so maybe I won't come down on her so hard for being on it all the time. She's learning. It's market research.
Oh yeah, well, and I look at it too, those kids are the future. They're
Yeah.
the ones who are the adopters. Like for me personally, I didn't go to school for social media. I went for broadcast journalism and was a reporter, but I came from the MySpace days where people were judging you on who your top 10 friends were. You could have a custom like song on your profile, and then I was part of the generation where you had to have like a university email to even have access to the Facebook at the time. So I've just been able to see it grow into something that is really utilized and should be leveraged for any day-to-day business. But
Yeah.
of course, when I was a teenager and I was 13, 14, I didn't understand like the depths and how impactful social media would be to like our society as a whole. So yeah, if those kids want to be involved in TikTok and they've got some great ideas, go for it. I want to see what they can do.
I have a new project in mind. That's awesome.
All right, Jen, I know this is a general question, but before we wrap, I always like looking at the micro of any business decision we make is how can we improve on the micro? For those watching, if you were to give advice on the one thing you should focus on in social media, as broad as that might be, or as micro as that might be, what is the one thing?
The quality of the content. I think that when you lead with content and it varies and it's what your audience is engaged with, not what you want them to be engaged with, I think you can let them lead the story and use those insights as you start planning future content for the next week or month or whatever. But yeah, I would say definitely consistent content and quality of content. You don't want to just throw something up there just because.
That's awesome. Wow. I learned a lot today. I don't know about you, Elizabeth.
Well, if I had any anxiety over social media and how far behind I am before this call, it's definitely increased a little bit, but I'm encouraged. I'm just being me and doing what I can do, and all the background stuff. I rely on people that know more than me. I mean, Renee is very good at that kind of stuff. I had a out of the blue call with Rebecca Hamilton the other day just to ask her a couple questions, and it turned into an hour and a half conversation. So I'm just learning. I don't have to know everything. I just need to know the people that do, and that's how we all come together. And we talk about leadership on this. I mean, that's what leadership is. It's helping build each other up, making each other better, but depending on other people's strengths, knowing where our weaknesses are, and vice versa. So something I might be good at, Renee might not be good at, and vice versa. And so instead of me having to know everything, that's my biggest takeaway. It's like, wow, there's so much out there, so much to learn. Who can I bring into my world that can help me succeed in that realm?
Yeah, we're all in it together, and we can always learn from somebody. There's always something for me to learn, you to learn, everyone.
Well, I'm certainly glad that the two of you are in our world because, oh my goodness, Jen, I adore you. We both love you. And thank you for always being a resource for us to lean into, because you bring a lot of value to the table, and I'm really grateful that you shared it today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity. I love you
And
guys.
thank you for everything you're doing with like the company too. I mean, we're awesome, and you're getting the word out how awesome we are, and you make us look really, really good. So I know there's a lot behind the scenes that you're doing, but you execute flawlessly. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, EXP would be nothing without the wonderful agents like yourself. So
We're having
thank you for
fun.
giving me the opportunity.
We're having fun. Thank you, Jen. And I can't wait to see you. I'm so sad you guys weren't in Orlando, but we're going to see you in the world for our awesome shareholder summit that's going into EXP World. So I look forward to seeing you there.
I know, we are planning it, and I am so, so excited to show you guys. Ooh, I can't wait for it.
We'll start planning that TikTok with Mitch Robinson too. So add that to your to-do list.
No, Mitch has no idea. He's in for it, because we're not going to let it go.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, Jenn,
ladies.
To help you, reach out. Thank you for sharing with us, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.